Hi everyone, it's FC.Liverpool, everything about Liverpool. We've got a lot to talk about, got great guests on. And if you can imagine, like just a couple of months ago, we were saying, let's get some couple of mids in, strengthen our little midfield, because the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain went, the likes of Keita went, and their time was up anyway. So, like for like, get a couple in. And that's all we were worrying about. That's all we were worrying about. And then all of a sudden, what happens? The big bombshell, Fabinho going. And then the captain going. And it's absolutely ridiculous the way everything has gone. I'd say, I'm not saying pear-shaped, but pear-shaped in a way that the midfield is shrinking. The midfield is shrinking. But we'll be talking about that with the guests and Stephen Snape. Evening, Mr. C, but Mr. C over says, Stephen Snape. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I'm going to bring on my first guest. This lad here, Zaz, all the way from the States, expat, big Liverpool supporter. Nothing but the Reds with this fella. And we'll just be talking. People are going to be late coming on, unfortunately. That's the messages I'm getting. Anyway, good evening or good afternoon to you, Zaz.
Yeah. It just turned 2 o'clock, 2:04 here. Yeah,
2:04.
112 degrees today.
You're kidding.
I'm not. So that's about what? Maybe 48.
Something like that. Yeah, touching the 50 mark. Yeah.
It's too hot.
Yeah.
Way too hot. But yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, glad to be back on. I think Keith said he's like running 10 minutes late.
10 minutes late, yeah, before he logs on, because he works, you see, as well. He does a lot of things. Now, what do you think? Now, the title is, just before we get into all this, because we will be blasting it, to be honest. The title is, do we still need new signings? And this is before we got the heads up that he's gone. In other words, he has gone. So, do we still need new signings? What's in your opinion now?
100%. I mean, we needed new signings even before Fabinho and Hendo were leaving. So it's just the same for me now. Now we need at least 2 mids coming in and another defender. Then I'll be happy.
Yeah. I'm sorry there to put in, but what you're saying, now people are saying, and I agree with them, to be honest, a centre-back, but a left-sided centre-back. That's what I've been screaming out for that, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Even last season.
Yeah.
And now, what you said, what's the most pivotal, or what's the most important midfielder do you want to bring in?
Defensive mid.
It is simple as that, because
yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about this last Thursday, didn't we? Bajcetic is only 18, and you can't expect him to start. Then there was talk of bringing Lavia in. He's only 19, has only had 1 season in the Premier League. You can't expect him to play 38 games. So we need an experienced DM. I mean, our shopping list was Casado number 1. He's priced out of our range. I mean, he looks like he's going to Chelsea. Brighton are playing, hardball, which they should be. I mean, Chelsea have put in 70 mil for him, and Brighton has said no chance. They want 100 mil, and I agree with it. I mean, is he worth 100 million? No, he's not. We've had this conversation, but Brighton don't need to sell him. he just signed a brand new contract. So he would be my number one. Number two, I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, Thuram is the same. He's only 21, 22.
Yeah.
And he's not Premier League experience. So, I mean, it just depends. I mean, if FSG want to buck up and join that Concedo race, I'd be all for it. But we all know they won't. They're going to look for a cheaper version, and I'm a little nervous about not bringing in an experienced DM.
That's my sentiments entirely, because we do really need. Look at Fabinho. There's the other fella, Henderson. Now he used to fill in for it as a DM, didn't he? When we had all those injuries, he went in and he did a good job. So he's gone, a possible defensive midfielder. Now we've got no one.
Yeah.
We've got no one. All right, they say about Batacic, but as you said, quite rightly, he's still inexperienced. He's totally inexperienced. Albeit he'll be great, but he's not ready yet. 2 years, top class. And as you said again about Lavia, he's all right. He's only had a handful of games, and they want him 50 million. I think Batacic is better than him, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we all saw what happened though when Batacic played. He played what, 15 games, and then he got the injury because he's pushing his body too much. Yes. So how the hell do we expect him to play, 25, 30 matches? It's just making me nervous, because we're 3 weeks away from playing Chelsea. Mm-hmm. I'm just, I don't understand. I mean, I'm not understanding. Like,
are you more?
That's what I'm pissed off about. We've not planned. We should have been planning for this 2-3 seasons ago, and we've just let it all come to fruition, and it's a mess.
Yeah. Do you know what though? I said honestly 2 seasons ago, and I'm talking about 2 seasons ago, that we needed 2 mids. The end of last season, I said now we need 3 mids. We brought 2 in now, but we've lost a load, because who expected Henderson and Fabinho? Now, don't forget, they're very experienced players, and Fabinho was actually playing well at the last end of the season. And what I surmised at the beginning of all this, coming up to the new season, I said, the way we played the last 10 games, it was less exposure for Fabinho. He was playing a lot better, because when we were going through that terrible period, he had no cover himself. No one was covering for him. And he was covering for the backs, the centre backs, that is. He was also covering for the forwards, going forward, trying to push forward. And he just never had the legs. He was everywhere, in other words. And yet, the last few games of the season, he was covered there for him. There was help for him, and he played a lot better. So he's just coming into. Do you think that he wanted to go? Or do you think he said, "I'm going"? If an offer never come in for him, what's your take on that? If an offer never come in for him,
with Fabinho,
yeah, do you think he would have said, "Oh, I'm going. I want to go"? Or I'm lost in these sorts of transactions, to be honest.
Well, I mean, he might just be like, his heart's not just in Liverpool anymore. I think that could be it, and maybe he came to Klopp and was like, hey, if an offer comes in for me, would you be all right? And I just think it's blindsided Klopp.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much Henderson, I mean, because Henderson was only going to get bit parts, wasn't he, this season?
limited time, yeah.
Take over the Milner role, while Fabinho was probably going to play a lot of the games.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's a bizarre one. I mean, obviously, with agents, people contact agents, and then the agent will talk to the player. And I hate this because the club is the last one to know, because Fabinho would have got that call, and Fabinho, probably talked to his missus, because we all saw, I mean, every player's on social media now, and so are their significant others. And she was already liking Saudi Arabia and all this, and resorts and all that. So you start thinking, maybe they already got their heads turned like way before. It's just, I thought we'd get another season out of Endo and Fabinho. So I'm just...
Yeah, no, you're right. Again, we never had the chance to see if Fabinho, his form at the back end of last season could carry on through this season, especially with the likes of Szoboszlai coming in, and also McAllister coming in. And I think it would have, been great for them. I really do. I really think, and especially with Trent as well. As they're floating. Can I read out a few comments? I think these are very good comments here, Taz. These are very good comments, lad. Right, in some ways, says Stephen Snape, I'll just go through the comments, okay? In some ways, the departures could test the resolve and tenacity of FSG. Fabinho and Henderson leaving could actually favour, in as much as this could imbue a sense of desperation. That's what we're afraid of, isn't it? Desperation. And Brian Headley says, all right, lads, nice wee win last night. We still need an experienced midfield. Conor Bradley looked good, but we can't judge in pre-season. That's a very good comment as well. Oh, God. I always do this. Excuse me. Stephen Snape, generic as the team is, a screener is ever more essential. 23, 25-year-old robust experience in the league, or we could have the same defensive frailties we had last season. And Charlie Kane says, you won't answer this, Frank. Jordan wore a bracelet. Yes, we did. Yes, he did. And we will answer it, for these rights. But that's him. That's him. Now he's got to answer a lot of questions. Journalists are bound to go at him. Bound to get at him. And Lee Brady says, hello, Frank and guests. Hello, sorry, you can't remember your name. That's you. That's you.
I'll tell you what, there's some days I can't even remember my own name.
And Richard Hutchinson says, hi everyone, Liverpool needs an experienced, world-class, proven and hit the ground running defensive midfielders, centre-back and right-back. I watched the game yesterday. How did we leak two against this side? And that's a problem.
It was pre-season though, Frank. They'd played 6 more matches than us. So and the first goal was a wonder strike. Come on.
Yeah. That
was one hell of a volley.
No one could have saved that though. I was going to say really, being honest, as I was going to say, that was unstoppable, and it was he just hit it, didn't he?
Yeah.
2 good goals they scored, 2 great goals, there's no getting away from it. But at least, 2-1 down, pre-season, first game, and then we came back and won 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
Good
goals by us as well.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Brian Headley, it's left Jaeger with no choice now. He has to go out and sign a 30-year-old experienced midfielder, but now we will pay through the roof for it. Where's letting go? like what Brian, you know, a 30-year-old, we just let go now. A 29-year-old.
Yeah,
We're
not going to sign a 30-year-old.
No, no chance. No chance whatsoever.
I'll get me boots back on.
I'll get me clutches out, I'll be all right. Good warm-up game yesterday. Frank loved Ben's Oak when he came on, and a few of them kids, the guy on the left wing, second half, looked confident, and the lads in midfield, McConnell or something. Next game, Monday, I think 12 mids. But we're getting everything there, and we're getting the time to say that. What did you think of Ben's Oak, by the way?
I love the kid. I think let him hit the weights a little bit. He looks like he's going to be one for the future, doesn't he? But we've said that quite a lot, though. I mean, I thought Ben Woodburn was going to kick on, and he just fizzled. You know, which is a lot. I mean, Brewster was the same. I
was just going to mention him, yeah.
Brewster had an amazing under-17 World Cup, came to us, all this hype, and then he got sold to Sheffield United and is in obscurity. So I just think Ben Doak, there's something about him, you know.
Yeah,
he loves to go at players. I mean, a 17-year-old, he doesn't look scared, does he?
He's special. He's special as that Ben Doak. And, you know, when he was going through, the German was trying to foul him, and he just he stopped and looked at him. He knows which. And that's what you want, you know. You want someone with a bit of fire and spirit, but he's good, and you see something special in him.
Yeah, he's got no fear.
But what about Steve Evans? I'm going to go right on to what he says. FSG looking like they'll accept bids for anyone in the squad to me, and calls them frauds. And carries on by saying, I'm having to restrain from swearing, Frank. And this is it. This is absolutely, this is the thing about it all. It's I seen you when you first came on, how frustrated you were. And I'm frustrated by it all. Because remember last week when I said, let's see who we brought in, if we have. And all of a sudden, we've got two's gone. Two's gone within this week. You know, it's just nonsense. Richard Hutchinson, Liverpool needs to win the Premier League and all the trophies. FSG needs to support Klopp with funds and getting the right players in at the right area to compete with Man City, FA Cup, League Cup and Europa League. And that's just putting it in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
That's just putting it in a nutshell. And as you said, as when I asked you, you know, what's the priority of the areas, and as you said, a defensive mid, I say to bring in which would be ideal at the age of 26 or 27. The highest age that we could bring in my opinion, is 27. And I think it'll be ideal, but it's got to be top notch. Not only top notch, but the owners have to see and look and say, well, okay, they've got to give the money. They have to. It's not their money, it's our money. And this is what I don't understand. This is why, you know, the fans say, which really pisses me off, is look what they've done for us. And that's their excuse. Look what they've done for us. Yeah, well, okay. What have they done? What have they done on the field? Our team has deteriorated, and only for Klopp being there, and only because of these two lads from Oslo and McAllister coming in. I think they've saved us. Not the entirety saving us, but they're halfway there. Two more mids, and I don't know, a left side, a centre back, and I'll be very, very happy. But they've got to be the right players.
Yeah, it's just shocking that we've let six players go and counting. You know, Phillips looks like he's out the door as well, so that's 7. 7 players that should have been phased out the past 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I think that's what upsets me the most is just poor planning, and we have to question Klopp as well. You know, a lot of people are questioning FSG, which is fine, but you've got to question Klopp. He's the one last season that says we don't need a midfielder.
Yeah. And he said to me, you know, the penultimate day, you were right and I was wrong. And we did, and he brought out the mellow. But that's the thing. And someone made a comment, I'm not saying on this poddy here, someone made a comment about why a midfielder wasn't bought in the January and a forward was. And do you know what it was? That Klopp was looking at Darwin Núñez, and said, "This is what this fella said," and he thought that Klopp, he's not going to make it. That's why they had to bring in a forward, Gapco. And I thought, this is the mentality now that's seeping through. You know, our fans. You know, they're making excuses like why we never bought a midfielder but bought a forward instead because because Núñez is not going to make it through the season. He's not going to score the goals that's needed to climb the table. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is why, you know, we've got to look at alternatives. An alternative is trying to talk some bloody common sense, if you know what I mean. And I just think it's nuts. So what do you think? Go on.
I mean, everyone, every team knows we need a defensive mid now.
Yeah.
So, you know, the price is going to go up. I just don't want to be left till the last day of the transfer window, and we just panic buy.
Well,
somebody needs to come in the next week.
Definitely, because, you know, as you said about the Chelsea game, it'll be on us. The season is more or less on us now. The season, right? Lee Brazy says, I agree with Fab staying with 2 new midfielders coming in would have worked brilliant, because all we needed there were players full of energy and not injury-prone players. So at least someone agrees with me. Thanks, Lee. Someone agrees with me. And again, you know, Soulboy Fran, this might be the best thing for the rebuild, because Henderson and Fabinho were never going to be the future. We need younger, faster midfielders. But it's finding the midfielders, because there's nothing, is there? There's been no signs with the likes of Szoboszlai, which is great, you know, him coming in, because he looks a great player then for us, not bothered about anybody else. And McAllister, he was.
I mean, we all agree with that sentence, but it should have been phased out. You know, Henderson should have been phased out, not at the same time as Fabinho.
No.
Milner should have probably gone last season.
Yeah.
It's just, of course, we need, you know, fresh young lads to take over, but you don't get rid of 6, 7 players, you know, in one window. It just blows my mind, the really poor planning. And I'm you know my stance on FSG. I'm not in. I'm not out. I support Liverpool Football Club.
Same as myself.
But this is Klopp planning as well. This is.
But what about his backroom staff? You know, he's got loads of backroom staff. He's got loads of them there.
Yeah.
What are they saying? What are they saying? Do you know who I'd like to come in if we can get him? Kimmich. I'd
Yeah.
like Kimmich.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but would we pay the money? Would we pay the money?
Oh, Keith's trying to log in.
Yeah.
He says he can't see the login.
Can't see the login. Sorry there, people. I was just trying to get one of our guests, so I'll just get hold of Jason. Yeah, I can't see the login. He sent it.
Yeah, he might have to resend it for him. Yeah. Kimmich would be absolutely amazing, I think. I'm surprised Bayern want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Because he can play a number of positions as well. I think that's what I think we should be looking at, is somebody that can play at least 2 positions in midfield. And Kimmich, oh man, that would be Christmas come early, wouldn't it?
But why can't we just go out and buy him?
Yeah.
You know, I just don't understand it. Why can't we go out and buy him? And this is what Klopp has to tell the owners. You know, anyway. We need to respect Jota for scoring 2 goals yesterday and win us the game, says Richard Hutchinson. Absolutely.
Jota the slot.
See, I was looking at some things last night after the game, and people were saying he'd rather that people, you know, Jota should be starting over Nunes, especially. Look, what I'll have to do, sorry about, can you read some comments out, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, look, let's see.
Neil Broderick, Steve Evans says, look at the players we get linked with and the price being automatically hiked up, and people are still defending this Saudi Pro League, who are going to kill the game off, been dying for years, and these frigging shysters are just dangling sports washing funds at players. The greed sickens me. Yeah, Steve, I'm with you, mate. It's just going to get worse, and the summer's bad enough. They're going for the 29-year-olds to 33-year-olds, throwing all this money at them. Next summer, I think it's going to be even worse. Because I believe they are going to come in for the Salahs and the Van Dijks this world, and they're going to go in. Well, I mean, we're all seeing the rumours that the Saudis wanted to put in a bid for Diaz for 80 million. You know, I mean, money talks, and it's ruining football. It's been ruining football for a long time, and I'm with you on that. It's just, Saint Maximum from Newcastle is going, and he's only like 27, 28, and he's a decent player. But these players have no allegiance to any clubs anymore. A lot of them have allegiance to taking care of their families and putting money in the bank. So yeah, it's a really not a very good time to have the Saudis come in. It's going to get worse, and yeah, I'm not looking forward to next summer with the Saudi money.
So is that all about Saudi? You see, Steve Evans, they're all the lads on here, and I don't know. It's just one of those things that it's frustrated us all. But there's other fans who are quite happy. That's fine if they're happy with what we've got. But it's during the season, we don't bring anybody else in, and that's the problem. And see, someone said about about kids, and you go, yeah, you know, we can't rely on the kids. We mentioned Beticec before. It's going to be great. He's going to be great, right? Mentioned young Joe, got no fear, brilliant. He's going to be great, and we know this.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, when you say we can't do anything, we've got to bring experienced players in to get that level of game. But what they're saying, they go back to the old Alan Hansen quote, you can't win anything with kids. Remember about Man United?
Mm-hmm.
And they went on to win everything, didn't they? Really? And they're just the things that they're just excuses, and I think pathetic excuses, to be honest. Right.
Well, again, I mean, you look at our midfield, you know, and you've got Thiago in there that can't play more than 20, 25 games. You've got Jones that's also had his injury issues.
Yeah.
You know, Elliott to me still is not really a midfielder.
No.
He's a right,
no, he isn't.
a right winger. So that's just too short for me. You know, and people have said, well, what about Tyler Morton? I'm like, same thing. He's young. He needs another loan. He did go to Blackburn, but I mean, he needs another loan. It's, you know, it's looking pretty dire. I mean, yeah, Trent can slot in, but he played midfield yesterday. But I just can't see Klopp playing Trent 100% midfield every match. Can you?
No.
It's just going to be the hybrid role this season.
Yeah. As Stephen Snape says, Arthur Mello's out like no other player I've ever seen at Anfield. Got to go down as one of the worst acquisitions in the club history. And he's right. But you know, you really can't go on about. I feel sorry for Arthur Mello. He came here knowing that he was already injured.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, who'd you blame for bringing him in? I blame, not Klopp, I blame the backroom staff. I really blame them. Because they must have said to you, yeah, we'll get him in or whatever. And he got him in, already injured. It's like Calvin Ramsey. Calvin Ramsey was injured. And he was out for months.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our acquisitions last summer. Darwin Núñez, 85 million. All right, 65 million, but there's add-ons up to 85 million. Would you give 85 million for him today?
No. Not a chance. I mean, I think he'll come good. I do, playing in the right system. But yeah, I mean, for a club like us, you know, you have your analytical team, you have your club doctor and all that, you know, the sports science team. How did they not you know, see the red flags going off on Calvin Ramsey and also Arthur Mello? How did that not get like, no, we've seen what's going on with him. No, we'll pass on that. But we didn't, you know. And again, yeah, it's not Mello's fault. He came in, you know, he individually trained and tried his best to get fit, and then of course got injured, the poor bastard. Not his fault, you know. But yeah, it's
frustration. It's frustration that creeps right through us, and we was frustrated last season. We're going to be hopefully not frustrated this season, but the frustration that's in it now is the lack of getting these players in. It's the lack of it. I couldn't believe that Henderson and in a week, the pair of them, both midfielders, gone, absolutely gone. And as Richard Hutchinson says, Klopp needs to speak out against FSG. FSG are with Liverpool Football Club. Spend the money FSG, please. And here's our other guest here. And it's good, this film. Hiya, Brian.
Hi, hello. Oh, am I on? Oh, hi.
Yeah. We've seen you drinking your vodka. It's
Yes.
not a secret anymore, Brian. Secret's out.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Put the flask down.
That's right, yeah. I can quit anytime. Yes.
He was just saying there, Brian, I don't know whether you caught any of it. With the likes of Henderson now gone.
Mhm.
And there's no movement as yet in the market for a midfielder. What's your take on it?
Well, well, I'll start with Henderson. Okay, yes. To let him go for £12 million was an absolute disgrace. Yes, I know some of us wanted him gone. Some of us saying he's past it or whatever. But he was the captain, and he deserved much more dignity than that. A £12 million move, and apparently he took a wage cut to get out. There's a bigger problem there. And as far as movement goes, well, I'll preface. You know, I'm anti-FSG. I'll just say movement. That encapsulates it perfectly. What's happening? I mean, here we are. Camp started. Klopp said he wanted players in by the 9th of this month, and here we are, still pondering, still wondering who we could bring in. You hear all the stories. It's funny. Every story in the media starts off, well, we did get Szoboszlai and McAllister, 2 great midfielders. Okay, that's 2. We need 4, at least. And nothing. And you know, Liverpool. And the stories, Liverpool could do this. They could do that. Well, stop coulding and shoulding and wooding and get someone. You know how many years you need midfielders. Go get one. Go get a couple. I mean, the scouts did their job. I'm sure they've done. So we get Keith. I'm sure the scouts did their due diligence, and they handed off here. Here's some players who might fit your system. Okay, well, execute. Move on one of them.
Well, that's
Anyway.
If you're going to move on, you know, 2 midfielders, as you said, Brian, we need 2 others to come in besides the 2 that we've acquired. But will 2 come in? And as Dad said before, when we were just on at the beginning, that we still need a centre back as well. I said a left-sided centre back, but it's not just 2 midfielders that need to come in. It's defenders as well, and that's the problem. And I don't think that we've got the money. I hate saying that, to be honest. I really hate saying that we haven't got the money while we have got the money, but unfortunately, our hands are tied to spend this money.
Well, again, these players, these needs were known. They've been known. You knew that going into the window. So now it's a surprise. Well, we need more investment. Okay. Well, again, this summer would be the tell of what the ambition or what the level of competency we have with the owners. If you can't improve the club, then sell on. That's just it.
What do you
just
think?
Cut and dry.
About everything that's been about Hendo and Fab and do you know what? I really sort of had a go at FSG because their philosophy brought us the Premier League, the European Cup, the Club World Cup, you know, all those trophies that we've won. So I've really sort of been overcritical of them. However, this is the most important transfer window of their reign, should we say. If they don't go and bring in the players that we need, don't be surprised if Klopp turns around and says, "See ya," honestly, because this is the most they're going to bring in over 60 million for Henderson, Fabinho, and Phillips. Now, what if they spent up to now? Okay, they spent 60 million on Szoboszlai and 35 on McAllister. But if you weigh up what they have spent on those two players compared to Arsenal and what other clubs are going to, over the next 2-3 weeks, what other clubs are going to spend. If they don't replace, I mean, you look at it, we've lost 5 midfielders. 5. They've brought in 2. So really, we've got to replace like for like in many respects, especially with experience, because you can't replace experience. Milner was an absolute legend to me. You know, he's brought so much, not just what he's brought on the pitch, but as a person and the advice, and you know, players look up to him, everything else, as they do with Hendo as well. But it's massive, this transfer window, and if they don't bring in the players, you know, Phillips is going to go. That leaves us one short at the back. Can you imagine if Gomez, Glassback, Matip, and Konate's injury prone as well? Can you imagine them 3 getting injured? Fabinho's no longer there, so we can't play as a makeshift centre back. Hendo played as a makeshift centre back at one time. Who else would you put there? There's no one else, is there? Other than the young lad who played last night. So, you know, I know we need, you were saying about maybe 1 centre half. I think maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 that's, you know, look, there's players out there as well who are available on a free, by the way. There's a lad at Wolfsburg who's a pretty decent player who's available on a free. Go and get, you know, I don't think Carlyle will be available now because one of the Chelsea centre halves is injured now. But we need to bring in quality and 2 or 3 midfielders, but one with good Premier League experience, not like buy and try. You know,
that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, sorry, jump in. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. You know, now we're getting to a point where, well, midfield's okay, they cost too much, 50, 60, 70 million. Oh, we can't afford that. Need investment. We're now to get to a stage that, well, we'll either have last day loans again, like Melo, or who knows, or they'll just look for bodies just to make up the squad, regardless of experience and quality. You know, it's just still I still shake my head at this operation. Again, I'm not talking about the recruitment, the disconnect between scouting, recruitment, and actually acquisition of a player. They want to go to Super League with this operation. Really?
No, yeah. But the thing is, though, Brian, if they don't spend this summer to the acceptance of all Liverpool supporters, because we're all singing from the same hymn sheets, aren't we? I think every Liverpool supporter is thinking the same. If they don't come up with the goods, they'll be out. Because there's no way Liverpool supporters, if you think Man United supporters are bad with the Glazers, you never cross a Scouser or a Liverpool supporter, and they'll be out. So this like 3, 4, 5 billion that they want for the club, they probably won't even get that because the supporters won't accept it. They'll be out, and they'll get nowhere near that. So put your money where your mouth is. Everything that the supporters have done for the club, everything that Klopp's done for the club, put your money where your mouth is, get your hands in your pockets, go into a little bit of debt because we're the only one of very few clubs who don't have any debt. Bring in a little bit of debt because you can sell the club and you can make that back.
Yeah.
If you can't put up, shut up and get out.
Exactly. Just shut up and get out. It feels like a fire sale.
I think
go ahead.
I think lots of people have been, going on now about the owners. You know, they've got to spend, they've got to do this. The point is, they're not going to move. They are not going to move, and that's the sorry state of what we're in now. They will not move. But as Keith said, we've got to buy. They have to say, okay, who's you want, and bring these players in, because we're going to be left behind. And this is the frighteningest thing for me. Our rivals, our main rivals, are buying. They are just buying. You've only got to look at Gerdewan of Man City. He was let go. Pep, there's no sentimentality with Pep. He just lets them go. Now, if we had Gerdewan, we would have then got held on to him. But the point is, he lets them go and brings in new players. And I know someone's bound to turn around and say, well, listen, they've got the money. But this should have been going on as a process over every season, bringing 1 or 2 players in every season, quality players, that is.
Well, it doesn't take money to do that, though. To recognize you're losing a center back, you go get a center back. That's not money. That's football sense. That's basic one-on-one football sense. Basic ambition. Basic interest in the club. They had the money, but they spent it on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So no, I don't buy that at all.
No, not at all. I don't need that. And the thing is, as well, Brian, is that the going rate for players now are all at the same level. So. Unless we all, unless they would go, they were lucky to go and get players on the level of what they spent on Mane and Salah and Fabinho, etc. But as football is, the Saudi thing, as that's the money that's going into there and the money that they're spending and paying and things like that, it could inflate prices in Europe as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's what I was sort of saying last week about everyone on the planet knows we need midfielders, we need players. Of course, the price is going to increase. So again, if you don't have it in the academy in Kirkby, you're spending, you're buying. So just get over this. Oh, what it cost 60 million, it cost 50 million. Guess what? You neglected it for this long. You're gonna have to pay it. So just pay it and learn next time.
And that's the point.
Look at your model.
You hit the nail on the head there, Brian, because that's the price now. You've got to go along with the price what they're asking, other clubs. And if you don't go along with them, you're going to be left behind again. And as I said about our rivals, they're buying everybody, but not just our rivals. The people below us, the teams below us, they're buying. They've got a bigger budget than us. And they've done nothing for years. And this is what I don't understand. And I don't want any stupid excuse, not a few lads, but excuses from them and other fans saying, well, they're building a new stand. You can sod off with that stupid excuse. But we've got to back. But as said before, Klopp says we've got to have them in by the 9th of this month. Mm-hmm. The 9th, to get them settled in. And I think Keith Aston said, agreed, too many midfielders gone on the same window was madness. Even getting new players in to replace them, it's going to take time for them to settle. Yeah. And it's not just us lads, it's all the lads on here, all of the fans who are coming out with I don't see them taking Man City players. No, we won't take Man City players, but we did in Milner again. Know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about what Calvin Phillips
playing in midfield. That's mad. Now is Klopp trying to out options for midfield because we are not bringing anyone else in? Yeah, how about that?
I hope not.
There's not a ways to say what a half-ass operation this is. Every week's a challenge.
Tsimikas can barely play left back, let alone playing in midfield.
Yeah,
really. I think Tsimikas is better than Robertson. Honestly,
really,
I know. I guess I'm a minority, but no, I think Tsimikas.
You've been thinking, lad. You've been drinking.
yeah. I'm hydrating. No, I do. No, I mean, no, as far as the mentality, no. Robertson is phenomenal, but I think overall game, well, definitely defensively, I think he's better than Robertson. Oh, okay, I'm in the minority. All right.
Well, no, that's what's good is everyone has an
Yeah.
opinion, but yours is wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Well, I'll go to Keith on this, and then you
Go on,
Taz,
Keith.
then you, Brian.
Let me buckle up for impact. Yeah.
Okay. Neil Broderick says Nunes was awful yesterday. He was chasing the ball instead of holding position in the box. What do you think, Keith, about his play yesterday?
I think just before I say that, Brian, that's like me saying I think Luis Diaz is a better centre half than Van Dijk. By the way, about Tsimikas with Robertson, I think. Do you know what?
Okay.
Nunes is raw, and for me, last season, for the first season, for someone who the sending off didn't help him. He had a couple of injuries, still scored 15 goals, which I actually, I actually like him, and the supporters like him as well because you see the reception that he gets and everything else. I think he's just one of those players that, he's a raw talent. He'll miss more than he'll score. He'll give the ball away and lose the ball more than he keeps it and passes. But honestly, God, I would start Nunes up front in the middle with Salah and Diaz. I'd have.
Okay. I'll put this to Zaz, and it was unfair actually, and I'll still ask you, Keith. If Nunes was up for sale today, you seen him playing not for Liverpool, but for somebody else last season. Seen the way he played last pre-season game like yesterday, and we were watching it. And the team, we wanted to go in for him, and the team said, "No, you can have him for 85 million." Now, be honest, would you pay 85 for him?
No, of course not. But that was the going rate, I mean, again, me and Keith have had this conversation as well. The lad's still getting in these positions, and if he wasn't getting in these positions, I would definitely worry a lot more. But he is. He's raw, and he still scored a goal yesterday, and he still scored 15 goals last season. Compare that to Jesus, who scored, I don't know how many, but Jesus has been in this league for how many years, and they're about the same. Yeah. So you look at Anthony from United, they paid about the same, and he's shite.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's just a raw talent, I just think this will be his breakout season. I do. Yeah. I mean, but again,
okay.
It all depends on what midfield sort of.
I'm going to Keith. I'll ask him if he was up for sale tomorrow and he was playing for somebody else and they said, no, but you can have him for 85 million. Would you buy him for 85 million? That's the question.
If I'd seen him, who was it we bought him from? Was it
Benfica? No, Benfica. Yeah, it was Benfica, yeah.
And when we played them in the Champions League, I remember when we played them there, but especially at Anfield, I thought, geez, this lad's absolutely brilliant. He's going to be a big, big player in the future. So when I'd seen him play then, and the fees that they were talking about, I thought, he's worth that. On last season, is he worth 85 million compared to Haaland or something like that? No. But I honestly think that this time next year, if you'd ask the same question, I think we'd say yeah. I think I'm the same with Daz. I think this season's going to be, as long as he doesn't get injured, he stays injury-free, doesn't do anything stupid, getting sent off. I honestly think he'll score over 20 this season. I really do.
Yep.
And 20 goals a season for him.
Well, I mean, well, think
Well, what
about
do
it.
you think,
What Keith,
Brian?
okay, yeah. Well, what Keith was saying about compared to Holland, like, okay, well, we're almost doing apples and oranges. I mean, Holland was what a luxury upgrade for the two-time league champions, and I mean they were intact every position. We had midfield issues. We had midfield problems, and we have a thin squad. Yet he came in here and knocked in 15 goals. First time in a new league, new club. Didn't quite absorb the system. No, I say yeah. And going back to Benfica, when he first got there, he was all sixes and sevens as well. And then that took him a year to catch on, and he knocked in 27 goals. So yeah, 85. If you ask me, 85 million for him now today, sure, yes, I'd do it.
Frank,
definitely do it if we're back in 2019, 2020.
But
Our squad, yes, come on in.
Frank, can I ask you a
that's my
question?
point before. Yeah, go on.
Okay.
If considering the loss of form last season for us, the amount of injuries, him getting sent off and his injuries, if he'd have gone the whole season playing for Man City, do you think he'd scored more than 15 goals?
Absolutely.
Without Haaland, I mean, or with Haaland?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that squad is intact. Yeah.
Yeah. So he came into a completely different league, a raw talent, into a team that suddenly lost its confidence, had a load of injuries, had problems himself, integrating into a new country and language and everything else, and still scored 15 goals.
Yeah, but no one's arguing with that at all. It's just like what people are saying.
Yeah.
It's, and then again, would he have scored? And that's Brad. That's intact. And yes, he did come to a team that's fell to bits, to be honest. I was falling to bits before our very eyes. But it's not just Nunes, it was everybody. It was like Fabinho when before when Daz and I were talking that the last 10 games, that Fabinho had some cover for himself. With we started to solidify the midfield. He was playing a hell of a lot better than before. If Fabinho would still be now, he'd be a lot better simply because Szoboszlai, he's there, Szoboszlai, he's there, and McAllister, they're great players. But now our defensive midfielder has been sold. Why couldn't we keep him? Why couldn't we keep him? It was easier to hold on to him than to sell him. And that to me is just greed. That to me is just greed, in my opinion anyway. On behalf of who? Are we going to spend that money? Are we going to spend it? And I'll go to you, Daz. Are we going to spend the money that we've generated with the sales?
We've also got 700 to 800k a week off wages with these 6 players leaving. Yeah. So that's money also that's hanging around. I mean, we were the 3rd or 4th highest in wages in the Prem. So we've slimmed that down. I mean, I just feel like we're just mucking around too much. I mean, the Lavia stuff. Like, if we want him, just pay the 50.
Right.
Just pay it. Get him in. Get him in as soon as possible. I think that's what's frustrating all of us. Whether you're FSG in or out, it's just like Keith said. This is the summer to shut up or put up. And if you can't do it, there's the door.
Yeah.
It's the biggest transfer, summer of what, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And it has to be right. We can't start the season like half-arsed.
Right.
We'll be done by October.
Right. Yeah.
And I am the more.
All right, all right. Yeah, there's a different for you, all of you. I'll go to Brian first, then Keith. You know, just answer this in there. Keith and you, Jazz. Is this squad now, right now, without bringing anybody in, good enough to do something next season?
No.
Is that it?
No.
I mean,
No.
yeah, that was an easy one. No.
My worry there, Frank, is
See that?
the experience that's gone out of the midfield. The numbers have reduced. The defence is, how can we put them? There's so many injuries between, especially Gomez, Matip, and Canate. Van Dijk had that serious injury. He hasn't been the same player. Robbo had a poor season, but hopefully this season he'll come on. That's the concern. The spine of the team, in terms of, well, when I say the spine, the defence and the midfield, defensively as a unit, is a concern, especially losing Milner, Fabinho, and Henderson. 3 absolute, very experienced players who've brought a lot to the club, done well with the club. So suddenly put in, if you went out, if let's say Klopp goes out and gets Lavia, Gravenberch, and Thuram, just for example, that's 3 players. One's 20, one's 22, and the other one's, I think the other one's 22. With no Lavia, but the other 2, no Premier League experience. It's way too much to expect 3 young lads to come into that. I'd rather than play Elliott and Jones, who've been at the club and know what the club's all about before them. But bring in experience. If you've got to go, and I think Daz said last week, if you've got to go and get someone like a McGinn, or do you know what? Even a Ward-Prowse, I'm not a fan at all. But someone who can come in and bring that experience, because at the moment, if we go out into the new season with what we've got now, I would say we wouldn't even finish top 6.
No, I agree with you. Agree.
Okay. Well, Liam says the recruitment could be another problem with Edwards, then Ward, and then Ian Graham packing it in. What's going on there? We said this, though, didn't we? We were talking about this last year. The club with these great people leaving. And, obviously, we're not getting to know or whatever, there's infighting. I just think that, and it was, you've got the likes of Pep Linders and these other people who I don't even know their name, but you see them on the bench, you see them running out and kicking the ball and whatever. Do they advise them? Taz and I were talking about Arthur Mello when they got him through. Did they say, get Arthur Mello, at least it'll keep the fans shut? And that's the problem we've got. That is the problem we've got about trying to appease the fans, if you know what I mean. And as you said, Keith, and Jazz and I were mentioning it before, and we mentioned it on other pods, that these players, the likes of Thuram, the likes of Kone, the likes of this Lavia, they're only 19. And I've always said that, why pay 50 million on him? And I hope to God that we're not going to pay 50 million for this lad, instead of putting it towards a decent player like, as Jazz and I said, Kimmich. Why can't we just go and say, yeah, get over here and be ideal for us? Or why don't we just go and pay the money? Because this is what's expected now for Casido.
Because this is a half-ass organization, and with let's say, and I say organization, I say the owners are half-assed, and they have no interest in football. That's why.
No.
And that's what it boils down to. Anyone else on the planet, any other owner on the planet with a modicum of ambition or intent, after we lost the quad, would have come in here. Okay, we need to refresh our midfield. Okay, here's some players. Here we go. We'll do this. We need this player. Go ahead and go get that player. Get in here. Here we are. Year 4 of looking for midfielders, and they're still sitting on thumbs, scratching head. We could get this person. We could get that person. Guys, our window's shut. I mean, our opportunity to compete for the top 4, top whatever is just about shut now. You need to get the players in, get them signed, get them into camp, get them ready to play, or you waste another half season integrating them into the club, into the system, and it'll be another late season flurry to fight for 4th or 5th place. Say, oh, what a fantastic season! We rallied, but you shouldn't have had to rally in the first place. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just so annoyed with this. I don't know. I can't even think straight, and I was just so annoyed with them.
Yeah. Do you know what?
We can see it. They see it.
No,
I
think you're right there, Brian.
Yeah.
You're right there, Brian. Because people, a lot of fans, our own fans, are saying, "Well, look at the end of last season," and you just say, "Yeah, but look what we did at the beginning and the middle of the season. Do you want another season like that? If we don't bring players in,
we have to drop to 7th or 8th place and then fight back to 4th. No. We're a big club. No. We shouldn't be doing this.
No. Shouldn't be selling Phillips, says Brian Edley. Shouldn't be selling Phillips. Absolute madness. As good as there is, and knows the ship inside out. But then again, he will be sold. And that's the problem. Yeah. I just want to say to the people out there, please, just press the like button. Just press it. Subscribe. It's just to get the algorithm there, please. It'll be smashing. Just smash every time you come on. Even when you've liked the other show, you've got to like this show. And if you press it, just like it, please. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And, alluded to desperation earlier, and Keats articulated perfectly. There you have it. That's a good comment. Whatever you say, I must have been missing. And Neil Broderick, investment will arrive a day after the window closes. Mark my words. Then they will spend January. This is an ongoing story, isn't it? We come to see this. We always go every window, every summer window. This is what we're always saying. Say all the things you want about FSG, but it's no climbing the mountain. It's about staying there. Arsenal has a decent season and now building from a place of strength. We have missed so many opportunities, and under Klopp could have at least another league title. What do you think of that comment?
2.
Well, I agree with that, because I know Man United still haven't sold the club, but we were looking at either, first of all, investments. Then there was possible selling. One of the things, I'm a great believer that what FSG did, they put the feelers out to see how much they could get for the club. I don't think they were looking for investments or to sell it. I think they've done what they've done to say, we bought it for 300 million. Let's see how much it's worth to us now. And if someone comes in with 5 billion, let's sell it. Anything less, no, let's hang on, let's see what happens. And the problem being at the moment, the situation we're in at the moment is now, listen to the 4 of us, that's just 4 supporters venting their anger towards FSG and the situation we're currently in. We're one of the biggest supported clubs in the world, every supporter must be thinking and saying the same thing as us. And I just think that FSG, they're going to lose the fans to the point where there'll be a strong word like anarchy. But, you know, do you think Spirit of Shankly will put up with that? Do you think the supporters will put up with it? Because one thing that the only way that FSG will listen is either supporters go to the match and then walk out, or don't attend the match. That's the only way that they tend to listen. And I don't think they listen to the fans in terms of investment in players or going out and buying players. It's what you've got to do, especially this summer.
Well, Brian, every season, the best season we can have this year is getting rid of these clowns, ASAP. So, you know, there are fans out there, and I know them. And they just don't like the owners. They want them gone. Because as Brian said before, they've got no interest in football. They have no interest whatsoever in football. Not when a chairman goes to his own football club and asks a steward to see where the boardroom is. That's shocking, that is shocking. If you know what I mean, because they're never here. It's like going on your holidays. You go to the hotel and a daughter or whatever brings you to your room. You're not going to. And this fella, Werner, stewards where the boardroom was. His boardroom, his chairman boardroom. So don't talk to me about owners and these people who don't even. Anyway, as he says,
Frank,
I don't know what he says. We can't keep selling. We will run out of players to sell. Go on, Keith.
a question to each of you. If FSG were to get an offer tomorrow, 5 billion from one of the richest consortiums or people in the world, and he was from Saudi Arabia, would you accept it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can I balance that out a little?
Mm-hmm.
Please, can I?
Yeah.
Suppose you were buying something of a reputable, say you were buying a table, right? Buying a table of a reputable person. And then you can buy another table of an unreputable person. What I'm saying is, say that it's a fence who wants to sell you the same table cheaper than the table in a shop. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right? But seeing that you're an honest person, you just say, oh, no, it's okay, because you don't want any dodgy dealings. Now get onto this, every single person that thinks these people from Saudi Arabia or any other oil producer, like Qatar, for example, in the oil business, they're not in the oil business. Whoever wants to buy a club or anything else like that, another different thing, finance business, the financial market they're in as well, bankers that have got nothing at all to do with the oil business. It's state-owned, the oil. So just because they come from Saudi or Qatar, they're tarnished with the same brush. They're tarnished with the same brush as oil people. And don't get me started on human rights. I could give you a 3-hour lecture about human rights.
Right.
And I tell you what, I'd come out on top. About human rights.
Oh, right.
And I'm not just saying that.
This is a pen dance.
So, you know, you can't just, you can't tarnish that. What I'm saying is you can't tarnish everyone being oil. You know, ordinary Saudi running around, you know, walking around, going to work at a street shop. Has he got something to do with oil? This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, so much for keeping politics out of football. Snicker. But seriously, here we are.
Well, it's not. Exactly.
Yeah, no,
It's not. It's always in politics.
Well, that's the thing. Say, well, we can't like human rights and all these things. Okay, well, okay, let's be honest. The four of us, we represent what, two of the biggest empires that ever was, that ever will be.
Exactly.
And, you know, and who built that region? Who bankrolled that region? Who built that region into the wealth it has right now? So no, find another reason. If you, exactly. Human rights, we'll leave that alone too. Find another reason not to want them. I'm talking from I mean, all that aside, from purely football standpoint, yes, I will take their money. I don't ever want on American owners again. None of them.
Yeah.
I would say, take their money. And at least there's an interest or somewhat passion in football. They may market it to death. We may have, what 200 pound tickets, but you know, at least there'll be something on the pitch worth watching, or something really competitive. So yeah, I'll take their money. I'll take tomorrow. Yeah. Venmo, PayPal, whatever.
But Brian, where they're going on about, LGBT and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think in this country and America that there's still racism? Do you think there's still homophobia? Do you think that there's sectarianism? Every country has it. Every country. So, you know, it's just because, and by the way, if it comes down to the fact that someone was gay in Saudi Arabia, that all comes down to the religion. Mm-hmm. So, you know, for me, if it was me, and I'm sure it would be 3 yeses, if a Saudi, or 4 yeses, if a Saudi consortium came to buy our club and they had the right intentions and we were going to run it right to get FSG out and to be able to put money into Klopp's hands to say, go and get top class players, I would personally say
yeah. We've said it all along, to be honest. We've said it all along, Keith, because we've got to look at the situation. Not we know if to a market, to be honest. As someone says here, Arsenal, just for example, this is just for an example. Charlie Woods, Arsenal and Tottenham built new stadiums and still bought players. Now I'm going to come in there, and I totally and entirely agree, because do you remember David Moore? He's out least, didn't he? Proved that he improved the Kop. He built the second tier on the Annie Road stand, and he was buying players. He was buying players as well, just like what Charlie Wood says about Arsenal and Tottenham. I came out, he said, I can't compete anymore. I cannot compete anymore. But his legacy. Now, here's another thing about, the Middle East. Remember when Liverpool was selling DIC, Sheikh Maktoum, Dubai International, they were selling. They were doing cartwheels and backward flips and everything else when they were going to buy. Nowhere, human rights. None of that. I fume at that. Mm-hmm. I really fume at that. But you know, if the Qataris came in, sell it, because we're not going to go anywhere without it.
Yeah. Well, DIC are in charge of Newcastle now anyway, so there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that's the sad thing, because I know that the 2 nephews of Sheikh Maktoum were great Liverpool fans, most probably still are. They had seen the tickets.
Yeah. So's Amanda Staines.
Yeah.
And what if they were oil? what have they got to do with oil? And that's we're just going. Like, let's see what Liverpool fans crying out for left-sided centre back, right back, defensive midfielder, and box-to-box midfielder. Liverpool need rotation for Thursday night in the Premier League, League Cup, and FA Cup. And that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Good
right.
point.
Oh, let's see this.
And we play a lot more games in the Europa League than Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Broderick, Brian, I said on the show last year that Fabinho would be gone this season. It stems back to the Brighton game when he tried to his best to get sent off, didn't he? Then the next game put a sick note in. The writing was on the wall. And by the way, he was the biggest drop-off out of them all.
Yeah, Neil, we spoke about that. You're right. Yeah, he wanted out. So, well,
All right.
thanks for
So
memories. Thank you.
question, my question is, still stands. Where would my question still stands of what I asked with this present scene, the present setup, what we've got now, without anybody coming in. What will we do in the league? What will we do? Will we do anything at all? Would you do anything in the domestic or anything with this present setup now? And if we don't, what positions need to be filled? And with who? And should we say to the people out there, please smash the like button for me, get the algorithm out there. If you haven't subscribed, just subscribe, costs absolutely nothing. And see these wonderful guests here, the likes of Keith, the likes of Daz, and the likes of Brian. And me always prattling on. I think I'm in a lecture room.
Hey, Frank, when you saying there about... Sorry, Frank, you were saying there about the current setup as well. Could you imagine if McAllister's Zoboslai got injured long term? Where would we be?
You're trying, but I was trying to, draw out of you, and you just threw it out. So where would we be, Keith?
Yeah. God, I would like to think. I'd hate to think.
Struggling as usual. That's where we'd be, because again we'd be the kids. Yeah. And I hate saying this, I know I get crucified for it, but are the kids that good enough for that level yet?
No.
Talking before about two lads came up. One was Woodburn, the other was Brewster. And remember all the hype around them?
Yeah.
And where are they now? Where are they? They just disappeared into the mist, never to be seen again. And these are the kids, that, we were made up with, or certain people were made up with. And
Jordan,
gone. And some of it have been the same with some of these kids now.
Kevin Stewart.
Right, let's change tact. And I'm going to go straight to you, Jazz.
Yeah.
I'm going to go straight to you. Yeah, Wisdom. Yeah, Wisdom. I'm going to go to you, Jazz. With the likes of Young Joke, with the likes of Curtis Jones, but mainly Jones, how does the future look for the future with those lads, the type of those lads? How does the future look?
It looks good. I don't have a crystal ball though. I mean, they look good. Jones has been in and around the first team squad for the last 4 seasons and done nothing. Apart from the last 11 games, and he did look good. He probably was one who saved our season last season. But the future looked good for Brewster. the future look good for Ben Woodburn. The future look good for Wisdom. We don't know how they're going to kick on. I think it's a big season for Curtis. It's probably one of the biggest seasons he's probably going to have. He's got to stamp his authority, at least to be playing regularly on the Europa League, League Cup, FA Cup. If we get a proper DM and we have McAllister and Slobosly, then he'll hardly get a look in. Only for the cup matches. So he's got to bode his time. He's got to have a really good pre-season. I saw he was back today, which is good. With Harvey. But yeah, I mean, again, I only go by what I see, and Curtis really, really needs a good season.
Mm-hmm.
He does, doesn't he? And it was only the last few games of the last season that he started to become good, because only a season or two ago people were saying get rid of him.
Yeah,
because he's never going to make that level.
They were screaming he was shite.
Yeah, but there was other people though. No, but there was other people who were saying, no, the lad's got it. Let's give him a chance. But I was saying, well, he's coming up to 22 years of age and he hasn't really hit the ground running yet. How long do we have to wait? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Keith, about the likes of Curtis Jones? Is he going to make a big impact this season?
No, if I'm honest. I think one of the reasons, and Frank, what my connections are with the club and with the Liverpool Echo and what have you, and the former players. I know that Curtis Jones, within the club, there was concerns about his attitude over a period of time. And for me, he wasn't in a place to have an attitude, because the only thing he'd done, apart from the last season, the last 11 games of last season, was the goal against Everton in the Cup. Mm-hmm. So, apart from that, I look at him and think, is he the next Steven Gerrard? Is he the next Jordan Henderson? No, because I know he's not that type of player. But I look at him, I look at Elliott. I know Klopp loves Elliott. But for me, he's too small. And I know Sammy Lee wasn't the biggest, but he gives the ball away more than Bobby Firmino. And so for me, no, that's my concerns, where if McAllister and Szoboszlai got injured, you're then relying on Elliott and Jones, and that is ridiculous, so that's where you think to yourself, because there's players. I mean, I don't know if it was Steve mentioned it before about Phillips. I love Nat Phillips. Klopp loves Nat Phillips. The problem being is that Nat Phillips is 26 now and he wants to play football. He doesn't want to be stuck in the 23s or go on loan. He wants to go and have a stable contract somewhere where he goes to a club. I believe he's going to Leeds. But looking at the players that we've got, I mean, and you can go back to Woodburn, Brewster, Andre Wisdom, Sinclair. Do you remember him? The centre forward who had Aidan Ward as his agent. He went to Watford and just sank without a trace. And Steven Gerrard's nephew, supposed to be the next big things. I know from experience of my experience in football, you can either get that luck, and just that bit of luck can change everything for you. But I tell you what, you can have that little bit of bad luck, little bit of an attitude problem, and the world can just come crashing down on you like that and finish your career. So if I look at the players that we've got there now, it's just that's why I've been getting myself so. Me and Daz were talking the other night on a show. That's why I fear for this country, for the club, and the owners have got to go and buy, because I really fear for the season, because look what it's already causing: the tension, the stress of, you know, who are we going to get? Well, how are we going to replace them? Who are we going to replace them with? You know.
Well, that's what it all boils down to, but it doesn't boil down to anything really, because it's the owners, and who are they going to allow to Klopp to buy? That's what it's down to. We can't replace. Remember the rebuilds? I thought we was going to have rebuilds of everywhere. Just leave the forward line. Just leave that and rebuild, you know, at least 2 defenders and the whole of the midfield. So it's what you're saying about the likes of RVL and the likes of Basic and the likes of Jones. Because to me, and let's be honest, the likes of Henderson should have gone last year. That's in my opinion. And a couple of years ago, Milner as well. He should have gone. We should have been replacing those with quality players. And this is why we're in the free fall now. Well, free fall last season. And if we don't replace these two now that are going, Henderson and Fabinho, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. And it's only what the other teams are doing above us.
Yeah,
Newcastle
absolutely.
going to improve a lot more, you know, than what they were.
God, yeah.
And this is
And
what
do you know what?
what?
Sorry, Frank. I'm sorry to butt in. What I was going to say was, if you look at last, we've just let 3 players go on a free transfer. Why? Because if you weigh up how many games Cater and Oxlade-Chamberlain played throughout that season, even if you'd have sold them last summer for 10-15 million each, and go and spend that on a prospect or something like that, then fair enough. But don't bring a prospect in to try and replace someone who's been in the heart of the midfield, 2 players in the heart of the midfield for 12 years and 5 years. Yeah. And we're regulars, not ones who were injured all the time and not playing.
Well, do you go along, Brian, with what Keith has been saying about, you know, if we just get those 2 injuries away again from disaster, especially in midfield? What's your take on that?
Oh, absolutely agree with that. I mean, this club, since Eversey's owner, has been plagued with thin squads. I mean, going back to 2013, 14, 15, where you had midfield Emre Can playing center back. You had other players play. Well, you had Stuart Downing playing left back, and you had I can't even think of his name now. The lady from Chelsea playing left back, and then going back again, 2018, Matip, Gomez, who for me it's counted as one center back at this point, as injured there, and then Lovren out for the World Cup with a knee injury. We needed center backs, nothing. Cost us the league. Yeah. Midfield, same thing a couple of years ago. Midfields, all we need is a couple of midfield bodies. Nothing. Cost us the league. So I mean, it's been a history of the club being shorthanded or running thin squads. So you're right. So if McAllister or Szoboszlai they get injured, well, yeah, it's not surprising more. The injuries last season. I mean, the starters we had, the regulars we had, they played compacted 7 seasons into 5, playing so much because there's no depth. So I mean, it's not bad luck. It's by design. Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so the lads that are there, the young lads, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be capable, but they're not at that. It's not what you're saying to carry us through.
I'm sorry. I'm not saying that they're incapable. I'm just saying well, it's the thin squad. It's the lack of experience. Who knows? They may find a switch, and all of a sudden they all just work in perfect synchronicity, and we walk the league. Who knows? I mean, no crystal ball, as Dad says. But the 18, 19-year-old kids and to put them out there, say, okay, go get us top 4, go get us top 5, go get us a cup. I mean, really, that's you're playing with their psyche going forward now.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Well,
I don't
that's
think
what we
it's
were
fair.
saying before, Brian. But that's what
Yeah.
we were saying before, because we can't rely on them. We can't rely.
No.
We had to rely on them last season, and look what happened. Look what
Oh yeah,
happened. Look where we
yeah. Well,
ended up.
Badger was phenomenal. They threw him. They say, "Here, go,
Yeah.
go, yeah, go plug the hole." And he went in there and he gave it his best, but he got injured. But he should have never been put in that position in the first place. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we'll see what he's like when he comes back. It may be a great growth experience for him, but he should have never been put in there to go get us a title, and then to put out
And that's
Jones.
what frightens me about
Yeah.
Liverpool going after. Jazz and I mentioned it before. The likes of Thuram, the likes of Kone, the likes of this Lavia. They're only 19 years of age, and what are they going to do? They haven't got especially Kone and Thuram. They haven't got the experience of the Premiership. They haven't got the experience.
I understand. Yeah, no Premiership experience, but I'm somewhat torn there. Kone and Thuram, they were on the 21. They were on the French World Cup squad. Maybe not Kone, but Thuram was, and at least he has exposure of playing. Of the importance of playing for a title, playing for some sort of championship realm. McAllister has that. He's got a World Cup title. At least they have that from. They've been around people who know. Okay, these superstars or these big time internationals. Okay, this is what it takes to get it done, or at least what it takes to compete. I mean, Keith, you played. You probably know more about that than me, and so. But that's my point. If that's the only thing they have going in their defense, is that they've been around that sort of championship caliber. This player from West Ham, sure, he may be phenomenal, but he's played for West Ham. What has he really played for? What's the intangible that he has for a title? Go ahead, Keith.
Okay.
Go ahead. He's ready to dispute that one right now. Go ahead.
If there's one player, I'll name 2. Who would you rather have? I'm going to name 2. Me and Ed mentioned this before. And I'm going to start with Taz. If we could only afford one player, and it was either Caicedo or Kimmich, who would it be and why?
Kimmich for me. More experience. Caicedo, I mean, he's damn good, but he's only had a few seasons in the Prem. And Kimmich has played at the top, for Bayern and for Germany. So I would take Kimmich any day of the week.
Okay. What about you, Keith?
Caicedo for me. I'm one of them people where, and I've looked at the likes of Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal in the past, where they've brought in the likes of Varane and other players similar that have played in Spain or Italy. The Premier League's different, and Caicedo, the last 2 years has been outstanding. He's very much like Kante. Kimmich is a great player, like Valverde as well. Great players, but in their own leagues, and I know, they are established international players as well. But I just think with Caicedo, I just think he's. Oh, we've lost Frank. But I personally, for me, I think Caicedo, because I think he knows the Premier League, and again, it's not only with Slobozai, but you're also now integrating another new player, whereas Caicedo knows the Premier League. He knows what Liverpool are about and that. So, I mean, I'd like both of them. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd like Caicedo, Valverde, and Kimmich to come in, and then and sell Elliott and Jones. personally.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I don't think they'll ever make it. And whatever you get for them, and Hendo and Fabinho and Phillips, go and get those 3 players. Go and make a statement. One thing with FSG, make a statement, not just to the supporters, but for the rest of the Premier League and world football. If you really, I mean, for me, to generate interest for a buyer of a club, you've got to really have it like high profile. If Real Madrid became up for sale tomorrow, how many people would want to buy Real Madrid? How many people want to buy Barcelona?
Right.
We're Liverpool Football Club. Go and make a statement. Go out there, get the best, because we expect the best. We've put up with mediocrity for too long now.
Good shout. That's a good shout, that, because they won't put up and they don't make statements.
Yeah.
And people have said in the past, they have made a statement when they signed Alisson and Virgil. Well, that was great, but we had to sell Coutinho to buy them. So they don't make a statement with their own money. It's as simple as that. They do not make a statement with their own money. So what would you rather have? You know, it was a simple question. I know Keith said that I'd like the 2 of them to go and make a statement. And I'd love that, you know, if the 2 of them did. So, you know, who would you prefer? Casido or Kimmich? I'll tell you who I'd like.
I was
Kimmich. Yeah. I'd love Kimmich. I think he's great.
I would, yeah. I would love Kimmich. You know, I was ready to say Kimmich again. He the pedigree of Bayern, German national team, and top leg experience. But Keith, compelling argument, like Casado, like you know, I'd love to have both, but you know, I'd lean towards Kimmich if we had a Lavia or if Badger was ready to step in and take the role. It was in the next 2 seasons or next season. I'd say okay, yeah. But I'm gonna take Caicedo. I love what Keith said about that. Yeah, I'll go with him.
I want Keith as manager.
Right, I know.
I think we all could be managers, couldn't we? We'd be buying everyone. Yeah, lads.
Okay, so Jones and Brodo gone. All right. Who else?
I wonder if Jürgen does actually go to the owners and say, because I know that there's other managers out there who would say, look, we need to buy. We don't go out and buy. If you don't get me the players that I want, I'm off, because I tell you now, if you think there'll be anarchy not buying players this summer, if Jürgen Klopp left and turned around and said, I've left because you don't back me, what do you think had happened even then? And who would replace Jürgen Klopp? You know, it's honestly
toxic. Be radioactive. Yeah.
Well, I think he'll be gone. I reckon he'll be gone in 2 years, Klopp. I really do. You know, he's a German citizen, loves Liverpool, loves the club, loves the people. But you love you. And I really believe that he'll go. You know, people have said, no, he doesn't want the national job. Of course he wants the national job.
Yeah,
everyone wants their national job.
Right.
Everyone. Everybody. But, you know, here's something. Richard Hutchinson sent this in. Liverpool getting rid of players for free transfer like Jenny, Bobby, Origi, Keita, Milner, Klein, Sturridge, Marino, Markovic, Chan, Ox, Torre, Gerrard, Lallana, Enrique, Johnson, Aurelio, Hupia, Kuhl, Varane. And when it comes like that, you go, wow, all on freeze. Every one of them on freeze.
Imagine getting 10 million for each one of them.
Right?
Yep.
Well, maybe not Verona.
Yeah, especially for Egan and Varone.
Deegan.
I'll take 3 camels.
2 Kit
Well, as
Kats
you say,
and
well, as you said, Keith, you know, if like getting 10 million, you know, on Keita or 15 and on Oxlade, when was any of you saying 2 seasons ago, get rid of, you know, sell them, Oxlade, Chamberlain and Keita? Did any of you say that 2 seasons ago?
yes.
Yeah,
I did.
I think Brian, you remember when we used to talk. We used to do the Monday and the Friday, and we spoke with Frank. And I said 2 years ago, Keita, if you've done it percentage-wise of how many times he's available during the season, he played 17% of games. 17. That's, you know, scandalous. You know, and that's, I mean, Premier League, but 17%. And I said to you, get rid. We've spent 50-something million on him. When he's fit, he's okay. He doesn't pull up any trees, you know. But get rid, you know. I mean, look at him. He's injured now, you know. He's out for a few months.
Yeah.
After he just made that statement as well, he said, you know, my injuries are at the back of me. And then he gets a abductor injury like the next day. He's just made a Weetabix.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
He is. A China doll. That's what he is.
Yeah, we just held up.
From Richard Hutchinson.
Weetabix. I love it.
But we shouldn't be.
Look, you've got to look. Really, you've got to look, lads. Not at the likes of the Keita thing or this actual. Look at on the backroom staff why they yelled to him for so long, and even James Milner. You know, people say great legends and everything, but he was past the sell by. People
What was the
were
buyout
flying
clause?
past him.
That'll be my first question. The way this operation. What was the buyout clause to get to send them on the way early? Like Oxley, he was on 150, I think, wasn't he, or 200?
Yeah, 150.
I'm sure it would have been an astronomical amount to cash him out and say, okay, go. No, and someone did the calculus and said, you know, it's cheaper to keep him as a passenger and stay on the club.
Well, the news is that he's going over to Saudi, isn't it, now? You know, he's being offered a contract over there in
good for
Saudi.
him. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd heard.
Yeah, please, yeah.
I'd heard Villa and Everton were interested in him.
Go get that tax-free paycheck. Yeah, I'll go. Good luck. Congrats.
Keep doing those TikTok videos.
What about Soulboy Fred? He says as soon as we just spend the money on one quality midfielder like Tchouameni, well, we won't get that, Louise, or we won't get Tchouameni anywhere. But, you know, putting everything in a nutshell, a quality player. And that's where the likes of Kimmich and the likes of Caicedo comes into the equation, you know, rather than those two that Soulboy France mentioned. And that's the way it should be. We've got to buy another, or is there another player out there that's not on the radar coming in, you know, and we'd be made up with? Would there be any of that off the radar?
It could be. I mean, I didn't think any of us, you know, figured Szoboszlai was coming in, did we?
No.
I mean, not a chance. So, I mean, there could be. You know, again, we don't have to. I believe there's players coming. I do. I mean, I have to believe that it'll keep me sanity going. That you know, that we're not done in the market, because if we're done in the league.
Yeah.
Like,
Before we start,
it's going to be another shite season.
Yeah.
Well, that's where Richard Hutchinson says, what are you guys' prediction for next season for Liverpool Football Club? And will we win trophies with this current squad of players? This current squad of players. And that's what I asked before, wasn't it? You know, will we do anything? And what did you say, Keith? We'll finish about 6th or something like that with what we've got now.
What we've got now, because we're relying on McAllister, Szoboszlai, Thiago, who was again another sick note, Elliott, Jones, Bajcetic.
Yeah.
That's nowhere. That is, do you know what? I'd even say, I'm just trying to think I'd say Villa's midfield's better than ours that way. I really do. Because...
Well, can I just come in there just a minute, Keith?
Yeah.
Because I think this message here, this comment, last season, Man City, Arsenal, Manchester United, Newcastle United finished above Liverpool. I won't be surprised to see Chelsea, Tottenham, Aston Villa and West Ham might just go past Liverpool.
I wouldn't agree with West Ham because they've just lost their...
But they're buying big players. They're spending the money. What do you think, Brian, about that? Well, Richard Hutchinson said, and that's what I mentioned at the beginning of the show. This is what I'm afraid of. These rivals of ours, you know, they're buying, and they're buying well. They are. Yeah. And Declan Rice, that's the going price now.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, clubs selling their players, you know, want the best. They want them. And you've got to compete. But we're not competing. And as that's a great business. Callister and Szoboszlai.
Oh, yeah.
We did. But that's not going to happen again, I don't think.
I mean, a broken watch. I mean, right twice a day. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's good business, but, you know, you can't keep going to looking for this bargain bin, scratch and dent players and say, okay, we're going to find another diamond in the rough, and that's why they call them diamonds in the rough. We're going to find that and produce a top 4 club all the time. I mean, count your blessings. We got good deals with Szoboszlai and McAllister, but you need to go get some veteran players, some established players, if you're serious about that. I mean, if the window ended tonight or tomorrow, I was just going to say 8th place that'll be it for us. 8th.
Yeah.
What's your prediction there, Jazz? What was your prediction be? Because Brian says around 8th place. What was your prediction be if we've got the same squad of players?
Yeah, if he didn't make any more additions, I'd say top 7. Now, if you ask me, like, could we go on a run in the League Cup? Yes, of course we could, because it's just one game. That's a bit different. But League, yeah, top 7. I laugh. West Ham, you can take that off the list. They're shite. They're still shite. They can buy anybody, and they're still shite. So, Villa are
Millwall, yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be top 8. Come on, you're having a laugh, lad.
No,
not West Ham, no. Yeah.
Villa, they were buying well, you know, keeping that core team and adding to it. That's what we should be doing. You know, they're keeping again. They've got that experience. They've got Ramsey up front. They got Watkins. They've added Diaby. You know, that's what we should be doing. And I do. I'm with Keith all day long. Make a goddamn statement.
Right.
You know, go for Casido. Even if he chooses Chelsea, at least go for it.
At least you tried. Yeah.
Yeah, Kimmich.
Yeah, but would you believe that, Jazz, would you believe that, you know, they could easily say, we went for him, you know. How many players have we been linked with? and they've gone to other clubs, and people are made up. Oh, we went for him, though, didn't we? And they
Well,
did.
to hear Klopp go,
I don't believe that they would,
you know,
to be
we're in
honest.
the race for him. To actually hear Klopp say we're in the race,
Yeah.
I would like to hear that. Because
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can write a load of bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
ITKs on Twitter, you know.
Yeah.
As you know, Keith knows my my new word for them: 15-year-old virgins on Twitter. You know, they just write bullshit to just write to get likes and clicks and all that. But yeah,
Right.
if we come out and Klopp goes, yeah, we're in for Casado, and then Casado chooses Chelsea, then
Okay, I'm just going to read out a couple of comments. Okay, Stephen Snape, FSG's primary function and modus operandi is the dollar. Our worldwide fan base supply financial support and fanaticism all in one profitable package. They have no interest in the club's. And Richard Hutchinson, FSG needs to speak to the Liverpool FC fans to face and resolve the situation with funds, investment and future of the club. Liverpool Football Club needs players in the right area immediately. And this one by Neil Broderick. If United get taken over by the Saudis, it's game over. That's they're very harsh. And
United have spent so much money anyway over the last 15, 20 years, and have had how many league titles? So to me, that's I'm not having that, to be honest.
Agree.
They just spend bad.
Yeah, and on bad players. Not, you know, they've gone out and they've gone out and bought players like, you know, and I'll use the likes of Varane and players like that, because they were past the prime. That's what they've done. Man United, I mean, their recruitment system is absolute crap. Whoever's in charge of their recruitment, any of us four would do better than whoever's in charge of their. But when you were saying there before, so Frank, about, you know, they could turn around and say, well, we were in for them. How many times have we heard that we've been linked with Mbappe? It's absolutely, it's seconds. We've got absolutely no chance on God's earth of signing Mbappe at any time. He's on £500,000 a week. Well, he's on I think it's €1 million euros a week. You know, this is where FSG and the guy who put that up is right. Listen to the supporters, because if you don't listen to supporters, you'll soon hear them. We are blessed with having one of the greatest managers this club's ever had and one of the best in the world. Back him. Because you're making a mockery, you're making an embarrassment of him. That fella has to come out all the time and say, we've got great owners. But I tell you what, do you think behind the scenes, if he's at home and talking to his wife, do you think he's saying the same things to his wife and his children, his family? I can tell you now. I know, I'm trying to choose my words right here, but I know that the talk up in Kirby is not in favour of FSG and the way they run the club. Okay, they've invested in the stadium, they've invested in the new training complex. There's a lot of people working in that club who shouldn't be working there. They're put in there by FSG because they're friends or their family or whatever. This is now, as I say, talk is cheap. And as I say, you know, we have got this amazing manager. If Klopp left Liverpool, where do we go from there? We can go and get Xabi Alonso to come in, or Steven Gerrard. They're not Jurgen Klopp, and they're still not going to get backed by FSG. We're going to end up like we were under Roy Hodgson and Kenny when he came back the second time. That's what happened to us.
Yeah.
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 I think there's a point.
You said something there which had me thinking. And what it is, Keith, they've got people there, looking at the club, whatever, working for them. Are they American?
There's
no, don't answer it because it's proven one. And I've been saying not for a couple of seasons. I've been saying this for a few seasons now. Something wrong. There's something not right at the club, and that's why the likes of Michael Edwards left. He wouldn't have just got up and walked away from LFC. There's something wrong. And
2 years ago, our CEO left. Can any of you remember who it was? He was a Scouser, lived over in Canada for a bit in America.
Say that again. You went to the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Our CEO left.
Yeah.
He was born in Liverpool, spent time in Canada and America, and he left 2 years ago. Can any of you remember who he was?
Piece of more.
I can't remember his name. I know you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah, you got it, Taz. And he left because he knew what was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. And his predictions came true because someone said to me, not the season gone, season before, we were in for the 4, the quadruple. And he said, we were a little bit lucky that we were in that position. I don't believe it personally, you make your own luck. But, he could see it more. He could see it. And that's why he left. And you've now had Hogan go. You've now had, who's the other lad, director of football, before Hogan? Who was before Billy Hogan? Oh, I can't remember his name at the top of my head now, but something's not right when you've got a CEO, changing CEOs, directors of football, they're constantly leaving.
Okay.
Who was that? Sorry, Brian.
Connolly? Damien Connolly? Is that what you're talking about? No.
No.
He was the Scouser. No. He was before
that. Who's the guy? He left last season and he's been linked with Chelsea and Man United and oh God, I'm trying to think of his name.
No, not Edwards.
Michael Edwards.
Okay.
So Edwards has gone. Hogan has gone. Moores has gone. And
Michael Edwards.
What's that? Sorry.
Well, go ahead. Anyway, carry on.
But what I'm saying is, if you look at the structure of the club that's in charge of recruitment and other parts of the hierarchy, they've all seemed to be leaving, and there's a reason behind it. It's not coincidence.
No.
Yeah. So that's why there's there's an underlying underbelly, and it's not all running smoothly and whatever. Can I ask you? It's only what you said before, Keith. It's only what you said before. Any Saudi or other wonderful big oligarch or whatever, coming in from the Middle East, would you sell? Would you like to see them coming in? Is there any chance, or have you heard anything that Liverpool, FSG, will sell in the very foreseeable future? In the short-term future?
So, obviously, I used to work for the Echo, and obviously was involved with a lot of lads who are no longer there. Did with the Telegraph and the Athletic and everything else. So they have the ears to the ground, and I know that FSG, come out with that statement of we're looking for investments. Okay, they just had investment through Red Bull, by the way.
I know.
And so they were looking for more investments. The reason that they were doing that was they thought they were going to have a bidding war for the club. That's what they thought. They thought there was either going to be Qataris or any Arab states like Man City, because they're run by a country, not by an owner. They thought that they were going to have a bidding war for the club and they had a limit. They had a price which was $5 billion to sell the club. And because no one come forward with that amount, they then said, okay, well, we're still looking for investments, which is garbage. Honestly, it's garbage. They've gone out there because they didn't get the price that they wanted. They're now still saying, we're looking at investments. Again, garbage. We're at a crossroads at the moment with our club. And unless there is investments into the team, investments into the squad, to appease Klopp, to appease us all, I do fear for the beginning of the season, or to run up to the season, beginning of the season and beyond, because I think it could, the fans will only take so much, and if the fans go against them in more ways, we've seen 2 planes go over last year with FSG out, Klopp in. We've seen that twice. Fans are still not happy with these. They're really not. I think an awful lot of fans now have got to the point where you're on thin ice.
Yeah.
Took long.
But here's what happened last November, and here's what I said. When they came out, there was lots of people moaning. They were moaning, we needed midfields, because they were having a go at them before the window shut. We need midfielders. Then in the November, they decided to come out and say, we're going to sell. And everybody was made up. Everybody. And I said at the time, in that November, when that statement came out, here's what I said. I said, take no notice, though. Take no notice. Because they don't want the pressure coming into the January window.
Yeah.
To buy. So fans will be saying, oh, well, the new owners will buy. The new owners will buy. And then I said, same statement, by the way. And I said, come next January, a week after the window shuts, they'll come out and say, we're not selling.
Uh-huh.
And was I right? I think I'm the only one who said it. I think I'm the only one on the planet, Liverpool Football Club, fan, who said that. And I was right.
You're right.
And Frank,
of selling. Only which was a good point, Keith, about a bidding war, and they wanted a bidding. There's nothing better than a bidding war. If you're selling anything, like privately, you'd like a bidding war because you'd get the most money, wouldn't you?
Of course, but you know why do you think they came out in November to say that they were looking at either investments and then they come out or possibly selling the club? Why did they come out in November? I'll tell you why. Because the World Cup was only weeks away. And there, at that time, if England had won the World Cup, English football would have been on top of the world. It would have made Liverpool Football Club even more attractive
to buy.
So they were looking at the potential that England could win the World Cup. Liverpool Football Club would even be more attractive than what they actually are now, because English football will be at the top of the tree.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, as I said, Keith, I said that last November. This is a ploy. They are not going to sell. It's only because of the January window. They do not want, and it's only what you said before as well. They will get stick. They will come under pressure from fans, and fans now are starting to more and so that's why I said they're not going at the end of the transfer window. They'll come out and say, we're not selling, we're looking at investment.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is not on. They're just not on. I call them the washing machine, as you know, the spin. And that's all we get.
Yeah.
Constantly off them.
Well, you know what'll happen if you don't buy anyone. I'm sorry to jump in. You're a buffer. You know what's going to happen if Szoboszlai and McAllister are the only two players bought? They're looking back. Okay, they'll wait a couple of days afterwards, and then they'll announce, new sponsorship deal, new financial deal for a sponsorship for X amount of £1 million. What could have gone towards buying a player? But you notice they do that. They do that every year. They don't buy.
Yeah.
There'll be some blitz and
new
kids.
Special
edition kids. Like the stadium. Yeah. You're right. It's all spin. I mean, rehabbing or improving, making tenant improvements to your stadium. Well, yeah, that's expected. You own the club.
Yeah.
Kirkby, it's expected. So yeah, you own the club. So you're not doing anything special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
on. Frank, is there a chance that either you or Jason can send a copy of this particular episode to Werner or what's the other fella's name?
Yeah.
Or to
Henry and Warner, yeah.
So that they
we get banned. We don't get banned.
So you can see you've got four supporters and the viewers all singing from the same hymn.
Every one of them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them. Yeah. No, Jason will do that. That's no problem. That's no problem. Because it's not like, not one of us have said FSG out, have we? It's about investment and what they should do, who we need to buy. We're not stupid people.
Yeah.
People, we know our a few minutes. Taz and I were on. Need Phil, and he said 2 midfielders and a centre back. That's it. And everybody else, they never heard us saying that, but when they're coming on and saying, yeah, that's what we need. We need 2 midfielders, at least 2 more midfielders. We need to set
2 quality experienced midfielders.
So it's all about. Yeah, of course. And this is what they're saying. It's not. Yeah. We're not putting words into their mouth. They disagree with us, you know what I mean? Because these are very intelligent people, knowledgeable about football club, and knowledgeable about players who they'd like to see it. We need a goalie. That's the end of us. Don't want to be looking at us evermore. If we said, we need a new keeper, get rid of Allison.
Well, Frank.
But anyway, it's.
Frank, just very quickly, can I just say there? I'm sick of hearing that they can't compete with Man City,
right,
Man United, and Newcastle. And yet, if you look at our net spend down the years, Nottingham Forest, Everton, and Brentford have spent more money than us. So don't give me the old load of crap that we can't compete with the likes of Man City and Newcastle, Man United. How come Everton and Brentford and Wolves and Villa and have spent more money than us net spend?
Yeah, we're like 17th, wasn't it? 17th
I think it'll be better coming out saying if we can compete with Brentford and Everton and compete in the transfer market rather than with Manchester City.
Yeah,
because we don't compete with anyone. We do not compete. And someone mentioned, I'm sorry that I don't know whether to put it up as a thing. Our net spends over the years is dismal. We're 19th.
19. Wow.
Of net
19th.
spend.
Wow. I thought it was 17th, yeah.
Think about it.
Unbelievable.
Oh, well, all right, 17th or 19th. Thanks for that. But it's the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's the same. It's absolute. Yeah, look. Look at this, look at this. Give you, send it to, they will get it, men, all after us and spend money to LFC. So we'll be waiting for the hitmen to come for us. But it's just nuts, it really is. And I'm sorry, but well, listen, lads. It's Thursday night in a week. He loves it. I asked him last week, and if you remember, as you went like that, well, I thought, no, not really. He wouldn't give a commitment. Do you think that, and I'm going to go to you then, Brian, then to you, Keith, do you think that we'll have in exactly this time any players? What do we still need new signings? That's title. Do you think that any new signings will come?
Well, they have to. But it doesn't answer your question. I see. Yes, we will have new signings, but I cringe. The longer this goes, who will come in? Will it be more Championship, or will it be more Scunthorpe, Oxford, or Sisters of the Poor, or who knows? Who will they bring in because they're cheap? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Short answer: yes, there will be more signings. Yeah.
Sisters of the Poor. That's
or some 18-year-old Liechtenstein international, or whatever, or San Marino hopeful. Yeah.
The star player of Luxembourg national
right?
team,
Yeah.
someone like that.
Yeah. Scored the game winner against Isle of Wight. Yeah.
What's your position for
for next Thursday? Do we bring in somebody by next Thursday when we all get together?
We're in 1 week, 7 days. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with yes.
Okay.
I think we'll bring in.
No, that's fine. That's a. All right.
Don't ask me who. Don't ask me who. We'll
be as well. I was saying England because you can't predict. There's no chance of getting them in my opinion. Well, Schmackhead. What's his name? Is it Schmack? What's his?
The football.
Just come this year, lads.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Yeah, the football guru is going to buy everybody.
I'll make a prediction. We'll bring in a new player by next week. It's Tobin Picnic.
No one soon.
And the only saving grace for next season is we'll finish above the Blues.
Oh, God.
But what about?
I hope.
Like this German lads, who's come in to buy all these players. I really thought that he'd bring in at least one German. I really did. But unfortunately, it doesn't like he is. But if he does bring in a German, let's hope that he brings in Joshua Kimmich. Lads, it's been great. It's been a great couple of hours. I've got to thank Jazz, for coming on at the beginning, to help us to carry on until Brian and the lovely Keith came on, and it's just been great. It has. And hopefully within a week we'll all be praising FSG, Jurgen Klopp, Kimmich and Casido coming into our team, which is unful thinking. Thank you so much, boys. Thank you. And see you next week. Being absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Jazz. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Brian. And it's just see you out there. See you all next week. Ciao, people. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ci vediamo. Ciao.
Ciao. Good evening.
That was good, that.